Ladies and gentlemen, we are back once again with the Social Killer. Hello. Once more,
So hot.
we return.
So hot.
It's too hot. If you're in Sydney
We
right
almost
now,
melted.
my God.
We almost melted from the heat.
The reason we are slightly delayed, if you're watching this live, is whatever reason. We had a huge storm last night. Things got knocked down. It's now 30 odd, between 30 and 40 degrees, depending where you are in Sydney.
Too many degrees.
In Sydney, guys. This is what you expect.
This is the hottest summer recorded in history. The hottest start to summer they've recorded at the bomb.
Yeah, it's a delayed, ridiculous. It's like all the heat was just kind of being trapped, and then they're like, "Oh, December, you guys, you have it."
Yeah,
it's been a thing, but we're back.
We're back. Good to see everyone.
We made it.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Hi, Thea. Hi, Jared.
Yeah.
Hello, Thea. Welcome
Hi,
everyone
Jared.
to
Hi,
Social Killer. This is the ongoing conversation about role-playing games. We started this project at the beginning of the year with myself, Jared, the GM chef, Ian of Roleplay Experience. How are you, Ian?
Howdy. I am very well. I can't believe we've done, what is it? 40 plus sessions basically on this on stream, and it's so good to have such a wonderful audience out there. So it's good to be with you guys. Thanks. I can't believe we've done this.
Of course. Thea, you've been along the ride as well. So grateful.
I've been around. I've been a passenger. OMGM. Hello. Just here for the sightseeing. That's me.
Oh, no, you are a absolutely wonderful contribution. I think we've all really put a lot of care and effort into this project. We've just created a very small community so far, but that's what it's all about.
A great
it's just finding the right people, a wonderfully small, passionate community of people who are, chatting to us, letting us know their thoughts and feelings, because that's the whole point of this. It's not just we're not just making YouTube videos where we throw all this information out there and just say what we want to say. We actually want to talk about it. That's why I like having the amazing guests that we've had over the year. We've had lots of friends. We've had some game designers, both board games, role-playing games. We've just had dungeon masters, cosplayers. We've really reached out to the community, which is what I wanted to do. But like I said, it's hot. We're here, and I'm ready to acknowledge the wonderfully hot country that we're coming from, which is we are coming to you from Aboriginal land. I'm coming to you from Ku-ring-gai land, and we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land that we are streaming to you from, pay our respects to elders past and present, and extend those respects to any First Nations people who are watching around the globe. Alrighty, let's get into it, guys. We're talking about. We couldn't pick one particular thing to end the year with. We thought, we'll do a throwback. We'll just talk about all of our favorite things. And then we thought, no, there's this really cool RPG that we want to create characters for. And I think we've been talking about pretty much all season behind the scenes. We're like, when are we going to do that? And then obviously we're going to talk about where we go from here. So let's dive into it, shall we?
What a year. What a year it has been. Speaking of, here are a few of my favorite things. And yes, I was offbeat. I am not a musical theatre child. It's blatantly obvious, and I'm okay with that. But speaking of favorite things, what are some of our favorite things? From the year. Actually, I want to say some. I mean one. You may have one favorite thing.
I think that's a good idea. Well, looking back, because I think I love that we're going to be doing something about this game, Blades in the Dark, that we'll be talking about later, because it kind of feels like this is Christmas. It's the end of the year, so it's a bit of fun and a bit like opening a present. So that's kind of great to do. But to look back on the year, I'll kick it off. I have loved the fact that we've done this. Thank you, Jared, for the idea of this and for bringing us together. What I've loved most of all about this is just being able to not just talk about conversations around role-playing games, but hearing other people's thoughts and discussing that, because I want to hear other people's perspectives. There's I know I live in my head and I know what mine are, or at least I try to articulate them. But there's something about hearing other people and being able to bounce off that and just to learn other ways. of how we do this, how do we play, what are the challenges we face, what are there commonalities which we can go, yes, I understand that, or like, oh, I've never thought of that. That's for me one of the best things. Yeah, absolutely. That's the kind of stuff that I absolutely love. So that's the thing that I've been really like, every time I have new guests, is great to get those different perspectives, but even just being able to bounce off the two of you, because you look at it very differently from me, and putting it out to chat. So guys out there, thank you for your feedback, because that shifts the conversation again and brings more diversity and multiplicity to perspectives. And so, that's the thing I love most about it. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. What about yourself, Jared?
Jared. Yeah. What about you?
I mean, one thing. Any of those things that you just mentioned.
Pick your favorite child.
It would. I mean, pretty much along the same thread, I would say it's been the guests that we've been able to have on, because as wonderful as our conversations are, as diverse as our three perspectives are, it's been really insightful to, just get people like Renato on, who's, an absolutely well-traveled games master, and to hear actually the mindset of an entire, all we did was really pick his brain, and that was so insightful, just hearing his mentality, his modalities, his idea of what a role-playing game is, why he likes them, why he likes playing, why he likes GMing. That kind of thing has been really insightful. And then all the little things adjacent to that, having Sim on, bringing him, I had just brought him into the hobby, some months prior to that episode. We've continued to play since. That was probably my favorite episode, because it was someone who I really wanted to bring into the hobby, who I recognized as someone who would enjoy this kind of a thing. And for me to be able to enforce and reinforce and kind of get a sounding board for the experience I gave a new player was really insightful. And then hopefully, because it's now out there, people can actually see what a healthy, happy, productive, overall decent experience should look like. Obviously every group's not going to be like that, but something to shoot for. And it gives people an idea that if they are getting into a game and they're experiencing discomforts, we've had the message all throughout every single episode: communication, setting expectations. There's one thing that we take away from this, it's exactly what we've been doing, is just communicating, and that has been fantastic. So grateful for everyone who's tuned in, grateful to you guys, and grateful to every guest who's been with us.
Yeah, and thank you to Sammy. You're very welcome for the space. We love to make space.
Sammy, just about every episode. So I think, absolute legend. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think probably one of my favorite things is the variety of games that we've talked about, because I know that there was a risk when we started this, it would become very Dungeons and Dragons focused and very one sort of system focused, but I've really loved the variety. So not just within looking at that D&D kind of world, how it can be applied, how we can play it. We've kind of spread that over different modalities. We've talked about, different ways, approaches. We've had an AI GM. That was a lot of fun. Exploring different ways to, And then I've also really liked talking about different types of games. So sort of we spoke about Alien, the role-playing game. I really enjoyed that, and the sort of the horror games. So yeah, I've liked the variety. Dog is wandering around. Dog is a very hot dog.
Dog.
Yeah.
Hot dog.
So he's very much a hot dog right now. And I think that's probably my thing, is the variety of games that we've been able to talk about, and the system, and also the people, like everything that you both said. Obviously, I echo that. But yeah, the games. And speaking of talking about games, and one of the reasons that I was very restrictive in saying you can pick one famous thing, one favorite thing, but famous too, similar words. We're going to do a little bit of a character creation for Blades in the Dark. And as he said, we've been talking about doing this for a while. And I think this is kind of a fun way to me, I think, for us to finish off the year, where it's I don't know, it's a bit selfish. It's about us. We want to make some characters. We want to do some stuff. We want to play a game, and we're gonna, because we can, because that's our Christmas present. But being able to share it with this amazing community, I think, is really a lot of fun.
Well, hopefully, this is actually, I agree. Hopefully, something that actually, for guys in the chat and for you guys watching this as well, who's not played this before, this is an introduction for us and for you as much so. So we hope, we're going to explore this and see what this looks like anyway from our point of view. And thank you for joining us for this. So, I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah. Loz says every DM should play Blades even just once. And I agree.
Solely agree. Just having a look at it, how they handle the mechanics and how they approach things that I've never thought needed approaching or never needed mechanics strictly. It's elegant, to say the least.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I think maybe that's exactly what I was just about to say. We should maybe try and play. I mean, why have characters that you don't play with?
Well, this is the thing, right? So. The stream has given us so many good reasons to, look into things, analyze things, talk to people like Steve from the other day where we talked about the entire mindset and like, why does a rule set come about? What are you trying to achieve? Is it just a cool setting and a cool idea? And then do you think about the mechanics, or do you think, I want a really cool mechanic? What does this lean into? So, him sucking the magic out of something in order to provide a certain experience. That's
a really good turn of phrase.
Well, if you watch the episode, you know what I'm talking about. His his setting is low fantasy. It's wonderful. It's a really unique way to do things, and it achieves a certain goal. And I think we're going to be talking more about this in the coming episodes next year. I would love to actually, we'll do some cozy streams, we'll play some Blades in the Dark, and I think we should try and maybe tick off a few different systems and really get them under our belts, start looking at them, start figuring out why and how they do what they do, and what do they do well, what could we leave by the roadside, because something that I've seen recently, Matt Colville gets into an hour-long episode on YouTube where he talks about what does it mean for the new edition of D&D. Is it going to be a whole new D&D? Absolutely not. It's 5.5. It's D&D 1. It's whatever they're actually going to call it at the end of the day. So, like the entire approach of what D&D is and how much content they've created, now that people have been playing it for 10 years, it's going to get to the point where people actually realize that there's cracks. Not everything can be fully play tested. Not everything works. Something's too strong, something's too weak, and they can only patch many things. So,
and things evolve as well. And it's like these people learn from the playing over much time that things have changed a lot in the last 10 years, because it's the most popular version of the role-playing game ever. And other role-playing games have learned from that and become their own things that have influenced D&D. So guys out there, just before we dive into this, because Thea, I really want you to jump in and lead this here. But guys, in the chat, if you've got things you like from this year and you want to see more of, or if you've got wishes for us for next year, please put it in the chat, because we'd love to hear about it so we can bring it in for next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And also in the Discord, if there's stuff that you don't want to bring up in the chat, shoot us a message in the Discord, join our Discord, all of those things. It is a community and we're loving growing it. And we're loving, I was going to say loving playing with you all, playing games with you all. All of this sounds very Machiavellian, like suddenly I've turned into this BBEG. It's been such a pleasure playing with you all. But it has been.
That's a strong line. Had to. All right, Blades in the Dark.
Blades in the Dark. So,
What do we do? What is Blades in the Dark here?
So Blades in the Dark it's a tabletop role-playing game, but it's been put out it's got its own website, bladesinthedark.com, so I do recommend if you want to have a look at a bit more detail, have a look at it. But it's a tabletop role-playing game that's about a crew of daring scoundrels trying to make their way in the haunted town or haunted city of Doskville. I feel like I should say that with a Russian accent. Doskville. It's an interesting kind of tabletop because similarly to some of the games that we've talked about, it's not all dragons and fantasy. It's actually a mix somewhat of a kind of an industrial cyberpunk approach, but also a fantasy world. So the world that you're existing in is haunted. It's post-apocalyptic. There's been some kind of cataclysm and the sun has been broken and you must make your way. And it's really focused around your crew. So when you have a look through the player's handbook or the player's kit, I think it's called.
Yeah.
The rules
you can
kit.
download it for free, which is awesome.
Yeah. You can download it for free. You can also pay what you like. And I think from one of the websites, and there's also the PDF or a hard copy you can also get online. And some game stores carry them. I haven't seen many hard copies floating around, but I feel like I've seen one once somewhere. But that could all be a dream. But essentially it's about building a bit of an enterprise. And from what I've gathered reading through the books, it really is more suited to kind of an ongoing kind of campaign rather than one shots. I think you can play one shots, but you would really only be using a certain subset of the rules there, really around those individual characters. There is a whole section in the play kit that talks about your crew, and that's a really important part, and reputation and all of that. There's a really awesome quote at the beginning of the play kit that says, before you play, you should read through this entire kit. This entire kit is 336 pages long. I'm going to be honest and admit I have not read through the entire play kit. I probably haven't read the DM's Guide for Dungeons and Dragons cover to cover.
You definitely don't need to. You don't need to. Yeah.
So I think that, sorry, I cut you off there. I think like a lot of things, you can pull out what you want. And the game does talk about that. It's very good at setting the scene and giving you as much as you might need. And one of the things that I think we talked about with Steve, but also Adam when he was on, was giving people enough information, inspiration that they could play the way they wanted to and build the world they want to. But it is very clear, while it gives you those references, that it's a set baseline and that you can take as much as you like from it as you want to. And I really like that because I think it was when we were talking to Steve last week. Oh my gosh, time flies.
Yeah.
But having all of that information for people who want it, who feel more comfortable, but not constraining.
Yeah. It's 100%. Nice, isn't it? Yeah. Just
you're not
having it
missing out on anything. Yeah, you're not necessarily missing out on anything, but you can do all the things should your heart desire. And something I realized when reading through Blades was I'm stealing a bunch of very agnostic stuff. Like there's a lot of cool ideas in there of that would just be like, damn, that's a cool idea. Why don't we just do that in any and every role-playing game? Like if that's the kind of thing I want to run, sure. And it doesn't even so it's very, very clever.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things we actually talked about in our level 20 game that Ian, you kindly ran for us. We took a couple of mechanics out of Blades in the Dark. We took the flashback mechanic and we talked a little bit about modifying the stress mechanic. And I think that's, it definitely gives you things that you can pull out. I am by no means an expert, as I said, self-confessed, have not read it cover to cover. I've never played it. Most of my knowledge comes from this game, a YouTube channel. It's Outside Xbox and Outside Extra, but they've launched a new channel, which is the Oxventurers channel, and that is them playing a whole bunch of tabletop, primarily D&D, but also Blades in the Dark. And watching them play is really where I've gotten familiar with it. And I highly recommend it. They're a wonderful group of people, similar to us. They're not too over-scripted. They just bounce off each other. And they didn't really know the rules when they started. They were learning as they went. And I really enjoyed that. I think a focus for Blades in the Dark is on character. So there is a lot more opportunity for role play, just the way things are structured. There's like your free play area that talks about, which is really focused on role play and what you're going to do and prepare. You then move into deciding on a score, and then you have your heist, and then you'll have your downtime. So there is a lot of options, and I think it is pushing you a bit more to role play. What are your sort of thoughts? I know you've both had a bit of a look through the references.
I've learned very little. I've had very little time to look through the whole thing because part of it also was I kind of wanted to just experience it from trying it out. But partly there was something about the way somewhere it was mentioned about how this is called a conversation. as in terms of a role-playing game. It's an ongoing conversation, which is why it feels like that ongoing thing that you're building on as you go, and it really encourages the players to be part of that and to contribute. What the things that they bring into it really change the story. It brings life to the story. I'm just reading some of the there's a standard reference document on the website too, which is really great, and it talks about playing a session like it's an episode of a TV series, which is great because it's self-contained, but it is part of an ongoing kind of storyline, and I love that. So that's the kind of thing I'm looking forward to, as well as the world itself and trying to learn more about it. That surely this mystery unfolds over time.
Yeah, it is pretty exciting. I can see, Jared, you've popped up the crew creation, a bit of an expert from the kit that you can download. And so there's 2 parts. You can create your character and then you'll create your crew. I reckon tonight we focus on characters, which I think will be good.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So there's 8 steps. My fine friendly villains. And I'll just really quickly run through. So as you can see, that's the basic set that I'm pretty sure you can actually download that one for free. And I really recommend people get that. It's enough to get you started on the game. The actual, the full rulebook is 336 pages, as I said, which is a lot. But I think really useful to have. I'm a big fan of being able to start a game on the bare minimum and then figuring it out as you go along. So the 8 steps. You get to choose a playbook, choose a heritage, choose a background, assign 4 action dots, choose a special ability, choose a close friend. Oh, we get to choose friends and a rival. I should have probably done boxing. I'm fairly certain this is not how a guard goes. Choose your vice. Apparently, just pick one type of vice. Sounds like life, a little too close to home. And then you record your name, alias, and look. And it is a lot of fun. So I reckon we go through as much of those 8 steps as we can before everything melts on us.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Who wants to go first?
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking, Jared, can you possibly pop up just a blank character sheet just for us to talk through?
Let's find a blank character sheet. I'm sure I have one here.
Yeah, it should be. So we can see dashing past at 1,000,000 miles an hour. That's your crew. Keep going. Should be
some maps.
Earlier than that. It's earlier than that. I think it's after
campaign
the.
This is the best thing because we're still learning.
Yeah.
Is there actually a specific?
Yeah. So if you go to so after the playbooks for the character types, there's a blank.
Yes.
Got him.
Yeah. Yay!
This one.
Sorry, Ian, you were saying something. What were you?
You answered the question. That's all good. I wasn't sure if there was one that was just by itself, but this is great.
Yeah, and I think what I was reading in there is that they do recommend you pick a playbook because that gives you special abilities. But I suspect, like many things, once you get more experienced with the game, that you can just make something from scratch, which would be a lot of fun. So picking a playbook. So my understanding, and I could be way off, so please, anyone in chat, please feel free to correct me if you know better. Playbook is kind of like a class. Kind of
feels like it.
If anyone's familiar with Shadowrun, you build, you spec out and equip and gear and choose abilities that gives you a loose role, like Street Samurai or whatever it may be. If you're a Street Samurai, that doesn't mean that you are necessarily a melee build, but you could be. You could have a lot of cyber gear and cybernetics and get chromed out, as they would call it. Or you can not. You can just be hella good at shooting things and you would be defined as a Street Samurai. So I think that's kind of the idea. So there's lots of special abilities, and like the more you kind of choose it, but it's kind of like a role more than a specific class or
like an archetype or something like this. It's a broad thing rather than a narrowly defined kind of thing.
I think that's probably a good way. So there are counting 7 primary playbooks that you can pick from. You can have a cutter who are good at winning fights with violence, with intimidation. But when I was reading more detail, it's not necessary. It's not a straight cut across to what a fighter would be. But they tend to approach things in that physical side of things. You could be a hound, so you're good at sort of tracking things down, long distance combat. And I think that from what I've also seen, hound can be quite good as a support for the rest of the group as well, because they're kind of that longer range surveillance type character. Leech, which I think is great, good at using alchemy and wrecking stuff with sabotage. So this could be an inventor, this could be an alchemist, that kind of thing. You could be a lurk. Sneaky. I think this is the one that, so they're good at sneaking around and breaking into place. And I think this one maps most closely to what most people think of as a rogue or as a thief, as that kind of thing. You can be a slide, which I love. It's just got a good feel. It's got a good mouth feel.
That's the name.
Yeah, exactly. They're very good at social situations. You know, they're good at ingratiating themselves with other people. They're good at persuading people to come along with them. They're the dude at the party who just gets away with it. You know, they eat your food, they drink your wine, and you still like them.
And you thank them for it.
You do, yeah. And the bottle they bought hasn't been drunk because it was the cheapest bottle. I'm working through some stuff, guys. It's all good. You could be a spider. Which I think has a slightly unfortunate connotation in Australia, but basically good at masterminding maneuvers. A spider, again, I think is a bit of a support type class where you're kind of putting the pieces together. And again, support class, I think, is a very broad term to apply, but I'm going to use it because I can, because I'm saying it. And then a whisper. And they're good at the sort of the magical stuff or the dealing with the ghosts, interfacing with the spirits. Because one thing about Duskfall is that it is surrounded by an electric fence powered by the blood of demons that keeps all the ghosts at bay. But there are still ghosts there. Okay. The setting is incredible.
Just a small but massive.
Just a little throw that in.
That's sick.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, Duskfall, you know. So you are all of these classes, you are the scoundrels, but there are ordinary people that live in town as well. And they're the people that, you know, crew the factories, crew the Leviathan ships, crew the ships that go out to hunt the Leviathans, which are these crazy eldritch horrors outside. And that's where you get the blood from, which powers the the lightning fence, which protects the city from being completely overrun by spirit schools and other nasties.
That's
amazing. So it's... And one of the things I was reading, which is pretty cool about the setting, is the reason it's so enclosed is it's supposed to be a pressure cooker. You know, you can't just leave the city because things have gotten too hot for you and your crew. You have to deal with it because there isn't anywhere else to go. And I love that. So just a small wardrobe.
It sounds like the consequences make a big deal in this as well, because you can't just get away with stuff unless you're really sneaky. So, there'll be effects. I like it. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. And I like that about consequence as well. Sorry, I was going to say, because I think that matters. When you get injured, that makes a big difference. You're not going to be a damaged sponge and soak up being shot and soak up being in fights. It will have legitimate impacts on you, on your character.
Do you guys have any that are kind of you're leaning towards?
I've got a couple I love rogues, and like these are all just kind of like sort of kind of.
It's all rogues, really.
I'm just getting massive Shadow and Bone vibes as well. You know, the band of rogues who are looking for the Sun Summoner. If you've watched it, you know they are such a D&D party. It's not funny. You've got a gunslinger, you've got a mastermind, you've got an assassin.
Yep.
It's just like it just works on so many levels, and that is probably what I'm gonna, you know, put in. Like we've talked, you know, throwback to the old inspiration episodes. That's what I would put as my foundation for this, because it's this kind of magical, kind of weird shit's going on. Not everybody understands the dark, weird magics and you know strange things in the world. So yeah, like that's what this is. It's just a bunch of people trying to get by and using whatever means necessary to do so. Which is just fantastic. So all of the playbooks.
All of them.
I'm going to throw something out there then. I don't want to play a magic user. So like the Whisper, if someone else wants to go for it, if you guys are interested, I want to try something different. So if you guys are keen, that's one.
I think it'd be good to have a whisper in the party because they can commune with ghosts, and ghosts are such a big part of this setting.
We'd
They're
be
probably
leaving
the
that
least.
on the table.
Yeah.
It'd be playing like Call of Cthulhu, where like you don't, I feel like this has got like, again, elements of like Shadowrun in it, and then elements of like Call of Cthulhu, where it's like there is just so much stuff we are not going to understand, and I love that.
I love that.
I could probably go a whisper.
Yeah. I'm just going to go hug my dog real quick because we just had some thunder, and it makes me sad.
Oh, okay.
I would typically lean into like a hound because I like rangers. So the whole sharpshooter and tracking and stuff. I'm like, straight up, but nah, let's try.
I kind of want to. I'm the same. I kind of shift away because I would probably go for that. Was like the first thing I thought of, but I think I want to go away from hound as well.
Play against type. Play something that you don't normally do.
Yeah. I'm thinking between, because you mentioned Thea Slide, and it sounds like you might be interested in that one because that was another one that sounded interested to me. But I think I want to try something a bit different.
Okay.
And I had I was looking at I was going to say cutter, but I want to be a beefy guy. I'm looking at spider. It's not something I would normally do, but the devious mastermind thing, and it feels like that they have contacts everywhere. And I kind of, it says there's a ghost contract when you shake on a deal and your partner, him or otherwise, both bear a mark of your oath. And if either brace the contract, they get cursed. So there's kind of it's a bit of a mastermind kind of thing. I've not played something like this, and it sounds really interesting. So I might go a spider just for something different.
Okay. Awesome.
No idea how to play it. Yeah, this is it.
That's same. So what are you thinking? Were you thinking whisper, Jared, or just to do something different?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, I kind of lean towards alchemists and that kind of thing. So I was looking at leech, but I feel like I think maybe slide because I tend, why
That's
not?
cool.
Yeah. Should actually probably write this down, shouldn't I?
I'm saying it as well. Well, look, if we're getting into it, I might read just a little bit about it so we know what it means for each of us. For me, for spider, is a devious mastermind. They have abilities in foresight. So I can assist teammates without paying stress, which is really cool.
That's good. Yep.
I am calculating. Due to my careful planning during downtime, I can give myself or another crew a downtime action, which is very cool. So it helps people in downtime. I'm connected. I don't know what this means. It's a downtime thing. Which is great. Functioning vice. When I indulge our vice, we're going to come to that later. I can adjust the dice outcome by 1 or 2. That is awesome.
That's pretty good.
A functioning vice. I'm a functioning alcoholic. I think, this is it. Ghost contract. We talked about it before. Jailbird. When incarcerated, my wanted level counts as 1 less, so I kind of can get away with stuff. Mastermind. Don't know what that means about armor. Anyway, weaving the web, you gain a consort when you gather information on a target for a score.
Nice.
So I'll let pull. That is a spider. I'm going to give it a go. A devious mastermind. Okay.
I love it. I can see you as a mastermind.
I was kind of hoping you said that, to be honest.
Awesome. How about you guys? Who wants to go?
Fantastic. The whisper. I think we might just quickly touch on like what some of these mechanics actually are. So the way that making checks and doing all of that works is you roll a d6. There's only d6. You roll a couple of them depending on bonuses like this and etc. And you take the highest result. That is how you do it. If you roll a 6, full success. And if you roll more than 1 6, you get a critical success. You gain some additional lovely stuff. Wonderful. If it's a 4 or 5, the highest dice is 4 or 5, partial success. You manage to do what you're doing, but there are consequences, some trouble, harm, not quite the full effect. If it's a 1 to 3, it's not a good outcome. Things have gone very poorly. So there's 50% chance of success on a single dice roll, which is absolutely wonderful. There's a scale of potential results. And one thing that I did also notice while brushing through the rules as well, it very often reminds you about how does this apply to the narrative? How does this apply to the story? You have to justify everything you do.
I like
and that's absolutely wonderful. So all of these things, I think where you were just reading as well, Ian, where was it? You know, in the downtime actions, like Theo was saying, because of the structure of the nature of a session, you have, or even, you know, across the episodes, like you do a session, you come in, you have this free play, you're loosey-goosey role playing, what most people I would say would familiar with, and then you have like combat initiative, whereas this structures it into planning, executing, reflecting, downtime, maintaining crew. How did you do this? What progress have you made? Yada yada.
Long-term projects, all that sort of stuff, which is pretty cool.
So, you know, when you said, you know, when you have the jailbird, you get +1 faction status. That's huge, long term. Like that might just be something that we do once in a 10-season, you know, campaign, but that's going to contribute to a long-term goal, which
and builds on the story so that we know that this character has that link, but it also that faction becomes important to the story. Okay, that's really cool.
So,
and I think all these special abilities really do work to promote that storytelling and help people get into character, because it's a lot more specific than I think a lot of other systems about. And when we get onto like choosing a vice, choosing your friends, choosing your nemesis, it actually is quite, it defines, I don't know if you're getting this, guys, but my dog is being a bit needy and he's okay. He doesn't like storms. So he's okay. I don't know if you can see him,
but we need a cool change right now.
He's a good boy.
We need to. Can we have the rain without the sun? That'd be great.
Rain without
who wants to go next? Who wants to give it a go?
So just with those special abilities, we could spend hours and hours doing this. But I think one of the things with mechanics is with those special abilities, you also, I think the way I understand is you choose a couple of those that you're going to use. So it'll be interesting. So with the slide, it's got this subtle manipulator and spy. So all of those special abilities are really around that kind of information gathering. I'm thinking kind of like your Mata Hari story type stuff. Your James Bond, that kind of suave. And I feel like we look at backgrounds when we're coming into talking about backgrounds. I feel like you could have a lot of fun playing this as someone very wealthy, very well off. Who just gets on well with others. And that's actually how, again, talking about the Oxventurers, when they play it, Mike plays a slide, and he plays a very rich slide. And he's the English, so he does that foppish accent so very well. And it's a very fun way to play this character. So I think that's I like the idea of a slide. And I don't tend to play those characters. I tend to play more direct when I get to play. Although I've been playing a paladin later.
Very cool.
Okay.
So if you were making your own playbook, you can choose 7 abilities, and there are so many. There's a bunch of them. So you can just kind of go, all right, I want artificer because I want to, craft some stuff, and then I also want sharpshooter because I want to do that, and then suddenly you've made a gunsmith, sort of like thing. Battleborn, you have special, so you can build something and create kind of your own archetype, and you can call your playbook the gunsmith, and that's your jam kind of thing. But did you want to
Loz makes a good point in the chat as
the general slide about
sorry, I was just going to say, Loz makes a good point in the chat that the starting sheet is kind of pristine. Like you gain changes and you develop from there. Oops, I just stuck my finger in my dog's ear. Oops. But I think that's a really good point, and it helps that storytelling.
I've noticed in Dragonborn reading that, like, you evolve, you level up through play. So you don't level up. There's no progress bar and then ding, this happens at this interval. As you use abilities, when you roll a dragon or a demon, a 1 or a 20, you put a mark next to the skill that you just rolled that critical success or failure on. And then by the end of the session, you have to answer a few questions. And if you can say yes to those, the first being, did you participate in the session? You can add another sort of mark next to these things. And then if you roll, I think you want to roll traditional in Dragonbane, and you want to roll under, it's a roll low system. If you roll over, ergo the higher your skill currently is and the easier to roll under. If you roll over, you gain an extra point in that skill. So it's the classic sort of video game mechanics of the more you do it, the better chances of you rolling successes, and that's how you progress. And then you just kind of stretch and you know and you evolve into that. And I love these systems that don't necessarily make you you know kind of rudimentary and let you become basically demigods. I love these things that give you so much up front. So that's what I'm noticing with this, is you really feel like you can do cool shit right out of the gate.
Absolutely. And one of the interesting things is each of these sort of archetypes or playbooks, they tell you how you gain XP, and it's different for each one. So, for example, with the slide, you earn XP when you address a challenge with deception or influence. And so it's got that kind of difference. So like a spider, you earn it when you address a challenge with calculation or conspiracy. So it really is rewarding you to play into those archetypes if that's what you want to do. And I think that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So the next part of character creation is choosing a background, and there's a lot. Choose a heritage, and then you choose a background, because in my head those two are very similar. So
heritage actually looks like it's what location are you from. So it's it gives examples there. Yeah. I think we probably can't choose this so much now because we don't know enough about them. And that's probably something we could do down the track to have a read of it to make the choice.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But I think a background then, and that's probably why I focused on it, because I find that really interesting, is these backgrounds. You can be an academic, you can be a labourer or a law, from the law. It could be a trade, military, noble, or the underworld. And those are kind of the backgrounds. And they talk about what you did before you joined the crew. And some of those backgrounds will give you... You can put an extra dot. So when we start talking about skills, those backgrounds will allow you to put an extra dot, which is kind of like an extra dice that you roll when you use that skill that matches your background. So I don't know. Cool. Yeah. So I'm kind of feeling for a slide. What I was saying with like that sort of playing them wealthy would be a noble, but then I feel like I'm just building the same character that Mike from Oxventure has. So I don't really want to do that. I'm thinking I feel maybe an academic or military would be interesting, because that's both can be very political kind of environments where, you know, people want to rise through the hierarchy and it's about relationships. So I feel like a senior academic, senior academic or a senior military type person. I'm not sure. And maybe there could be a connection between our characters. So if we had maybe a shared background with one or two.
Yeah.
Could be good.
Yeah.
Have you got an idea, Jared?
What you might want?
I don't know. Like, I guess something that's, I don't know. Like, I feel like maybe I just had a decent job kind of a thing. Like, just was just getting by, doing fine, and then I like the idea that I'm now kind of attuned and have this affinity for the hauntings and for these ghosts and unseen. So I feel like maybe some kind of a curse or something has come into
it's really
from your ordinary day-to-day. I had a life-changing, like, you know, maybe my whole family sort of, you know, got messed up or something, or maybe my family were messing in stuff and I was just completely ignorant to it, and something's come about. But you know, something like that where I didn't really want to be a part of that. I feel like maybe maybe my family's super dark, super nasty kind of a thing. And I've just gone, that's not for me. They tried to get rid of me. I ended up getting cursed. Now I can talk to ghosts. It's a good fun. Sure.
You were like the golden child. Oh, what's that? The Godfather movie. The son who was supposed to go off and do all the good things and ended up coming back. Yeah, The Godfather.
That's great. Michael is fantastic because he's like a war hero, and he comes back and his dad's like, you're the one who's going to stay out of this and be the legitimate side of the thing. We don't want you to be part of it. And he becomes the center of it. And he's very good at it. He's cold-hearted and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not saying that you play as a cold-hearted, but just that kind of situation is that you were the one in the family that they didn't want to get involved, and then something which can be revealed at some point.
Underworld? Is it Underworld that you're thinking?
I'm thinking like, it sounds more like trade or labor to me.
Trade?
Yeah.
It's interesting you said that, because whatever you choose, I've been looking at a couple there, but something that just jumped out for me was background in law.
Law?
Because, legal system. So I've been, and may have dealt with both of you for whatever reasons.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's cross paths that way. And so this is kind of the way. And the spider thing is that linking up with all of these different cases and clients that I've had as well over time. So whatever you choose, that's really cool.
I don't know if it's my mic is picking it up, but there is thunder and my dog is unhappy.
We hear the dog, not the thunder.
Listen to us
We know it's
instead.
thundering.
Yeah. Here we go.
Cool. So we've got some ideas. We probably don't need to decide it right now.
No, but this is something to think about. But I like the sort of storytelling that we're already getting into. So the next part is a lot more mechanical. It's about assigning your action dots. And those action dots essentially equate to die that you can roll when you try to use that skill. So Jared, can you roll to where the skills are on the far right-hand side of the character sheet, I think?
We'll just go all the way over here.
How many points? Oh, you get 4 dots. Okay.
Yeah. So you get 4 dots.
4 dots.
And so these are the different things. So there are, you can see them on there. There is hunt, study, survey, tinker, and they're different for each of the playbooks, I'm pretty sure. So like there's the core skills, or the core action things, but where it sort of sits on your no, they're all the same. So you got hunt, study, survey, tinker, finesse, prowl, skirmish, wreck, attune, command, consort, and sway. And on the pre-filled ones, it's already put 2 dots into the ones that match your background. Yeah. So that's why the playbook is helpful. It gives you part of your build. So you can put 1 dot in any action that you feel reflects the heritage, 1 dot that reflects your character's background, and then you can assign 2 more dots anywhere you like, but you get the dots that are already there. So they're part of your class. I keep saying class. I'm trying really hard not to use the wrong terminology.
This is very cool. I like it because what have you guys got then for Whisper and Slide? Yeah.
So Slide, I already have. Yeah. Sorry, you go, Jared. So I've got a dot in Consort and 2 in Sway.
There you go. I've got study and 2 in attune. So just quickly over what all these are, I think maybe. Attune, you open your mind to the arcane power. You communicate
I mean, I know.
with those stuff. Command, you compel swift obedience. Consort, you socialize with friends and contracts. Finesse, you employ dexterous manipulation or subtle misdirection. You hunt, you track a target. Prowl, you traverse skillfully and quietly. Skirmish, you entangle a target in close combat so they can't easily escape. Study, you scrutinize details and interpret evidence. Survey, you observe the situation and anticipate outcomes. Sway, you influence with guile, charm, or argument. Tinker, you fiddle with devices and mechanisms. Wreck, you unleash savage force. So it gives you examples and all of that in the details of the actions, but that gives you guys an idea. Like these are just like, typical skills that you would have. The more dots you have, the more dice you roll. Them's the rules. So,
and then the more dice you roll, the more chances you get a success.
That's very cool.
So I think I think we're going to run out of time if we do all of that now. But I think having the pre-filled ones is good because that does sort of gives you already steers you towards what
like this.
Yeah.
Because I've got for me as Spider, I've got my 2 is in Consort. So it's very much about dealing with people, which makes sense that I've got links with both of you possibly or something. And the other one's study. So we've got crossovers. I think you've got consort, Thea, and
I've got consort and sway. So you and I are very good at sort of forming those networks, but I can kind of try and convince them and influence.
Yeah, which is not so much me. But Jared, you've got study, and I've got study as well. So that's interesting.
Nice.
So that's good.
This is cool.
Yeah.
We'll have to work it out later.
Yeah. And then with those special abilities that we were talking about, you pick one. And if you can't decide on one, the recommendation is you pick the top one. Okay. So again, this is where this sort of guest system is supporting players who might not want to have to think too much about the rules. It's like, hey, if this is all too much for you right now, not a drama. Pick the top one. It's a good start. And it says it's a good default choice.
Okay. Yeah, they've thought about the onboarding. Which is smart.
Which is really nice.
That's very good.
Yeah. And interesting. So I can interact with ghosts as well as a slide. I just saw one of my special abilities is ghost voice. You know the secret method to interact with a ghost or demon is if it was a normal human, regardless of how wild or feral it appears. I feel like, given the discussion we've just had with Jared's character having this sort of family in a background, I feel like that's how he and I connected, or our characters have connected, is that I was brought in doing a bit of a long con on the family and to try and deal with this situation.
Sure, for sure. That sounds cool.
Yeah. That sounds very cool.
Yeah, I have.
So you got a kind of connection that way.
So I'm always aware of supernatural entities. But yeah, I'm liking just everything that's like all these options and like being able to study and you know look into that sort of thing. So you know I like that I've got that little bit of study. You know, so you're leaning into the more academic background and
yeah.
I like this so much. It's probably going to be good that we have the chance to talk about it and just weigh up what makes most sense for our story, and it also kind of like balances us out because I'm seeing there's a few options, and it would be good to know a bit more about downtime and the value of that. There's one there I saw, which is weaving the web, where you get +1 die to consort when you gather information on a target for a score. And that could be, so that's really specifically when we're gathering information for the score. And that's like, I like that. But I don't know. I have no idea.
No, I like that. Yeah.
Anyway, that's cool.
Oh my goodness, that's very cool. Yeah, there's so much here to go into. Oh wow, I can also sway someone and cause them to forget that it's happened until the next time they see me. I feel.
I love that.
Awesome.
It's very good.
Awesome.
Hey, DM Chromie. We are all GMs. We do live plays, but we tend to do the bulk of our content is talking about TTRPGs, sharing our experiences and having a bit of fun. So welcome. It's always a pleasure to see people.
We do the occasional cozy stream. Earlier in the year, Ian has run us a level 20 absolutely insane one shot. So we throw it out here and there. We're all organizers and admins and game masters of a local convention as well that runs several times a year. So we do like to kind of bring other GMs and people from those events and our broader community so that we can play and have some fun and, you know, do that kind of thing. We've done map making streams and all sorts of other cool stuff. So we're broad enough that we're not just, you know, focused on entertainment. We want to entertain, we want to converse, we want to learn as well from
it's a conversation. So please welcome. You are very welcome. It's always lovely to have you here. Right now we're talking about Blades in the Dark and we're going through a little bit of character creation because this is a really interesting system that we're wanting to explore, and we're about halfway through character creation to a bit that I think is going to be my favourite part, choosing a close friend, a rival and a vice.
Okay.
And thank you so much, Boo Radley, for the gifted sub. That is so kind.
Hey, thanks, Boo Radley Boo.
Boo Radley Boo.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Love you, bud. We should play this, by the way.
We definitely should play
I'm very keen. Yeah.
So choosing a friend and a rival. So this is something that is listed on those playbooks. Is you've got some friends, and I don't think there was a rival somewhere. I can't see rival on there, but anyway.
Do you take it from the same page, or is it from a different list?
Oh, maybe you do. Yes, so it's got a list of NPCs that your character knows, and you choose one from the list who is a close relationship and one who is a rival. So it's all from the same list. You're 100% right. I'm so glad you've got better attention to detail than I.
Guessing. Thank you, guys. Yeah.
So we've got things like, so they've got, this is all cool. So it's not too much of a long list either, which is nice. So we've got the Whisper sheet up there for you guys to have a look at. But I've got Brill, a drug dealer, Baz, a gang leader, a tavern owner, a prostitute, and a jailbird. This sounds very much like one of my D&D groups that I run a game for. Anyway.
I dare someone to make a list of sly friends or anything that's just just one of their campaign parties. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, I love the idea of this mechanic of having having friends and rivals, because it's sort of, so I know that's something that some players really struggle with. It's like, oh, hey, you've come to a town. Who do you want to talk to? I try to find someone. Whereas this gives you that guidance and giving them that kind of,
I know a guy mechanic, and this just leads into that slightly heavier after a while.
Yeah, and it gives you that information as well. And I think particularly for sort of a long game or when you're first starting, might not actually know what I want. But yeah, having a drug dealer, even if it's stereotypical type stuff, that brings to mind story ideas. You know, if that's my friend, well, my friend could be in trouble with the law, so I need to help my friend. If it's my rival, why are we rivals? What happened there? Are they trying to do things to people? Yeah, so I like that.
This is very cool. I've already got some ideas.
Yeah. I know we're starting to run out of time, but what are your ideas real quick?
Mine briefly, I thought rival first because I was looking through the ones that I have listed as shrewd friends for the spider. But the one I chose as a rival first was Salia, an information broker. Because I very much deal in how I connect with people and try to manipulate and do things. This guy bugs the crap out of me. So I'm going to have an information broker as the one.
Oh my goodness. I just had flashbacks to Mass Effect just then. Is it the information broker? Anyway, that's a whole other thing. The Asari becomes the information broker, and they may or may not have been your girlfriend, partner at some stage. Anyway, I do digress. I love that. But yeah, okay, that's awesome. I don't know. I'm thinking friends. I like the idea of having a drug dealer or a prostitute as friends because of that kind of. But then that adds to the story of how did these people, if I've got this rich, noble background or my military background or academic background, how did that get involved?
It could link to your vice.
It could link to my vice, which is actually what we pick next.
Okay.
Shall we talk vices, my dear friends? Yeah. Have you guys got any ideas of what your vice might be?
What are the options? Does it have a list there? Or?
It sure does. So are they different? No, we all have the choices of faith, gambling, luxury, obligation, leisure, stupor, or just plain weird.
Interesting.
I love that they're more than the categories rather than a specific thing. If anyone's ever tried to make a Shadowrun character, it's all about how do you assign your points, and you can get more points the more penalties you take. So if you're addicted to a bunch of, stimulants and all of this sort of, if anyone's seen the Dread movie where they inhale the thing and the slow-mo, there's stuff like that where, there's certain things that are going to help you temporarily, but long-term, the more you use them, you're going to suffer detriment. So I love that it's broad categories because faith, for some reason, that's jumping out at me, and I like the kind of juxtaposition as a whisperer, because it may not necessarily be following a religion or anything, but I think it might have been it was my faith in my family and what my family stood for and what I believed they stood for, and that has been broken. So now that is what has held me, is holding me, and what I need to overcome. That's what I'm thinking. So
that sounds so cool.
I really like that idea, and also the way mechanically vices work. That's awesome. But it's also, that's how you can reduce stress, is by indulging in your vice. But you can also overindulge. So it's this
That's awesome.
two-handed. Oh, I love it. So yeah, I love that idea for your character with faith. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe Stupor would be good for mine.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I felt from whatever position I was in within the military academia.
They could link to your drug dealer as either a friend or
and that's why they're my friend.
Yeah. It's funny you said that. I was thinking for mine, because my guy's a real manipulator and try to link things and to be in control of everything around in terms of gambling is his vice. Yeah. It's the thing where it's like to try and control that is like the thing that is the hardest to do. Yeah. So I think that's going to be his one. This is really
great.
Cool.
Yeah. Really cool. The stories and the background and the backstory is actually already coming out. Yeah.
Like I've got just this whole world has literally come to life just running through. Like we haven't read 330 pages, but
little options make a big difference.
These digital tools where they just kind of lay it out and they're like, you have a few options. This is what I always talk about is, decision fatigue or decision paralysis. Yeah. If you have a gelato bar with 130 flavors, you're going to be like, I really want something fruity, but I also want something like caramel, and I really want, and I can only pick 3 flavors. Where like, you can absolutely spend a bunch of time, but if there's 3 flavors, you're gonna pick. I'll have strawberry. That's fine. Yeah. That's what I'm into now. That it gives you something to go from, and this is really smart. The way that they've actually just pretty much given you everything you need completely for free. They have the website with the system reference document. So by all means, embrace as much or as little of the system as you like, which is
as you want.
Absolutely, but everything is storytelling.
And this is it. This is what I think is amazing. It's just come out in this time of us building these characters is we're already building the story together. And I think if we were sitting down doing this, we haven't even decided how this game's going to be run, considering the 3 of us are all making characters and I think we all want to play. But like if you can imagine sitting down with a DM or a GM and working through this, that already like my GM mind is going, oh, so this could be a story and this could be threads that you could pull together. So all of those things, I think this system, the more I'm getting into it, and I don't know about you guys, the more conducive I think it is to storytelling and to narrative and to really bringing that out in people.
Yeah, very much.
Sure. I would love to be the GM and just watch the 3 of us just go through this. And I think we've accidentally put across a really good message and a really good tip and a bit of advice, which is do character creation together. Like if you guys have the opportunity to start a new campaign, do character creation together. It's all wonderful and cool to be able to be like, oh, I want to do this really cool guy and blah, 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 blah. If you guys start the process together, you can still do that really cool thing, but it's going to be shaped and molded and curated into a far more coherent narrative. And there's a lot of value in that.
It is a group game after all. I mean, it's like it is a group story we're creating, and I kind of like, because there's when you started mentioning about potentially being a whisper with this kind of background, and you were thinking, Thea, about your background being military or academic. I'm thinking, how do I link to that? And then I thought, if I'm a lawyer, then maybe it was a client or something like this, and it just starts to build there. It's great, and again, the whole idea of this being a conversation, I think they labelled this game, which it's very much what we do in the social pillar anyway.
It is,
it's really cool.
No, I think so. And I think that's the, Loz says it's some great tips on how to write backstory. And I think that's something that's come out in previous streams that we've talked about, and I know we are running out of time, is I like to let the story be told with my players. Is I'll have my overarching ideas, but I'll pull a lot out of what the players, and I know the 2 of you do the same. So I think that, for this system, I actually am going to throw my hat in the ring and say I think it is better at doing that than D&D in terms of just from the character creation.
I agree. I think it's an evolution from the way D&D creates characters, because there's a bit of legacy from D&D, from even first edition, that's still kind of there about expectations of what you do in D&D, whereas this one feels like it's like very clearly this is the way we want to build this and how we do this, and you can see that there's that collaborative aspect to it. It's inbuilt into the character creation process. So I really I think that's a lot of fun. But do you want to wrap up? Should we wrap up?
I think we should wrap up, yes.
Well, I can dive into there, guys. Thank you everyone who's out there and everyone watching this. This is our first year. I can't believe we've done this.
Yeah, whole year.
And Jared for doing this together here. I'm really looking forward to next year. And is there anything you guys are looking forward to? One thing you'd be looking forward to doing that would be something interesting and different, or a wish? What would you be looking forward to? Thea,
playing this. I want to play this game. Yes. But I think also just getting to know the community, continuing to grow the community. We've got such wonderful creative people in this community that it's just been a real pleasure that being able to like get to know everybody and sort of meet everyone in chat. That's what I'm looking forward to.
That sounds cool. How about you, Jared?
Just doing more of this so that we can reach more people. So fundamentally, I'm really looking forward to growing our audience, just bringing new people into the fold, just hearing some more amazing ideas, opinions, perspectives, just really finding out what people are doing out there, because you can pick up the player's handbook or rule set for any system, invite a couple of friends around, have a couple of drinks, and just fumble your way through a role-playing game. It's probably going to be D&D. But as soon as you pick up, the hobby and you broaden your horizons to everything that's out there, the entire communities, the expansive, sort of shoot-offs of the hobby, the crafts, something I'd like to be talking about next time is, maybe we get some people who make their own dice on, or, we talk
that would be, I know a guy. Speaking of knowing you guys.
There's just people who, if you've got a creative thing, there's a really good chance that a role-playing game is a really good supporting hobby. Like if you draw, if you make costumes, if you like to do silly voices and talk like an idiot, there's an opportunity for you. Like it's such a blank canvas for being able to bring in your own things. If you like creative writing, well duh. You can absolutely, you can just bring all sorts of really cool creative things. And if you just want to like craft a really beautiful character sheet, or you want to make a wooden dungeon master screen, or if you want to build a whole tabletop and put a TV into it, or overhead projector, if you want to spend hours in digital map making assets to create the envisioning, the vision that you want, that's what I want to do more of. I just want to keep the social pillar running. Thank you everyone who's tuned in this evening. Thank you, DM Chromie, for finding us on our final episode. I hope we see more of you into the future. Thank you, Loz. Thank you, Loz. Bradley. Thank you, Sammy. Just everyone
everybody in chat.
Thank you, everyone.
Canesta, all of these wonderful people who have been around, all my friends who've been super supportive, and to the community at large. So thank you, everyone.
It has been amazing. Ian, what about you? To wrap us up what are you looking forward to?
Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Thea. I'm looking forward to talking with more people next year, new people. And I think, Jared, you were saying it just then about different things we haven't even talked about. Things about, like you said, about creating people who create their own dice. Absolutely. People who create their own stuff or character sheets or whatever it would be. People who play the games differently, different games and how they play it. I would have thought it would be wonderful if we get a chance to do something different in the format, but that's probably a bit later for a live, a live event somewhere. That would be amazing. Whatever it is just being able to connect with more people and different ways that people play role-playing games. I can't wait, and this has been amazing. So thank you.
It has been amazing. I think we're going to wrap up for the year. Most wonderful people. That's this for the year. We will have VODs. They will be on YouTube. YouTube channel is about halfway through season 3 at the moment.
Thank you.
The other episodes will start coming up. It's operator error why they're not up just yet, but it'll happen. It's a surprise. It's like a lovely surprise. But we'll have that. Please do join our Discord community if you're not there. We love to continue this conversation. I recommend so speaking of RPGs and different systems, I'm actually recommending that we raid someone who is playing a video RPG, playing the Dark Pictures, one of the Dark Pictures anthology, which is an interesting, it's very story based. So that's my recommendation that we go read.
Absolutely.
I'm all up for it. I've never heard of it. I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
That's it. Let's do it.
All right. So we're going to grade out. Yeah.
We just want to expose, we've also talked about, role playing games in video game format. So absolutely, whatever your fun, whatever your approach, whether it's post by post forums, whether it's in person, online, through video games, like Baldur's Gate, like these, pick and choose little solo stories, whatever you enjoy. Just go for it and share that love, to the rest of the community. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, we've had a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Shall we wrap this story up, this conversation up for the year?
We'll do. Absolutely. Guys, have a great break. Have a great break. We'll see you back in February 2024.
Yes, but we will be online to talk this. Alrighty. Mwah.
Thanks, legends.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.
Bye. I totally had the outro ready. Bye.